For a young student in 1890s India, a drink of water required permission and a proxy. Because of his caste, the school peon had to pour the water from a height so that it dropped into his cupped hands. If the peon wasn't there, the rule was simple: no peon, no water. During this period, Indian nationalist leaders were fighting the British Empire to secure independence, but millions of their own citizens were fighting a separate, quieter battle against the orthodox Hindu establishment just to be treated as human. The boy sitting on the gunny sack, legally barred from the water jug, would write the nation's laws. His name was Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. To understand his impact, we have to look past the standard political biography. Ambedkar engaged in a three-front ideological war to rewrite the legal and social codes of an ancient civilization. His first weapon was academic. In the 1910s and 20s, Ambedkar crossed the globe, earning doctorates in economics and law from Columbia University and the London School of Economics. He was building an intellectual arsenal. But when he returned to India with some of the highest academic qualifications in the country, his investment consulting business collapsed the moment clients learned his caste. The global degrees did nothing to erase his social stigma at home, so he changed tactics from academia to direct, disruptive action. In 1927, he led thousands of followers to a public water tank in the town of Mahad. They marched to the reservoir, and together they drank the water they had been prohibited from touching. Months later, he targeted the ideological root of the caste system. He publicly burned copies of the Manusmriti, the ancient Hindu legal text that explicitly justified systemic inequality. He realized that perfectly argued academic papers could be ignored by the orthodox elite. To force real change, intellectual logic had to be weaponized through visible, public defiance. That defiance soon escalated into a high-stakes political clash. In 1932, the British colonial government announced separate electorates for the depressed classes, offering marginalized groups independent political representation. Mahatma Gandhi vehemently opposed the plan. He believed a legally separate voting bloc would permanently divide Hindu society. To stop it, Gandhi began a fast unto death in a Pune jail. Following intense negotiations, the British initially offered the depressed classes 71 legislative seats. Through the Pune Pact, Ambedkar secured 148 reserved seats. This two-tier system kept the broader electorate unified, satisfying Gandhi, while allowing marginalized communities to select their own candidates via primary elections. Ambedkar had successfully forced the most powerful political figure in the country to compromise. He proved that marginalized groups to extract structural concessions through strategic legal negotiation. By the time India achieved independence in 1947, Ambedkar was the nation's fiercest social rebel. Yet, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru invited him to serve as India's first law minister and appointed him to draft the country's new constitution. Inside the Constituent Assembly, he legally abolished untouchability. He embedded broad civil liberties, including freedom of religion, and designed the early frameworks for affirmative action in education and government jobs. He also embedded his economic logic into the state's vision. He argued that the rigidity of the caste system choked the movement of labor and advocated for rapid industrialization to pull workers out of an oppressive agricultural hierarchy. This third battle was about permanence. By drafting the supreme law of the land, Ambedkar hardwired social reform tools into the legal mainframe. But a legal guarantee is only as strong as the society enforcing it. After the Constitution was adopted, Ambedkar watched as political equality, one man, one vote, failed to translate into social and economic parity. In 1953, he shocked the parliament, stating that he was a hack who wrote what he was asked to write. If the document failed to protect the marginalized, he declared, "I shall be the first person to burn it out." He had already resigned from Nehru's cabinet 2 years prior. He stepped down after Parliament defeated the Hindu Code Bill, a sweeping reform he championed to grant women equal rights in property and marriage. It was a bleak realization. You can draft the perfect legal framework, but if the underlying societal conscience remains resistant to change, the laws on paper mean very little. So just weeks before his death in 1956, he led his final public action. In the city of Nagpur, Ambedkar and roughly 500,000 of his followers formally converted to Buddhism. This was a calculated act of spiritual liberation. By adopting a religion that did not recognize caste, they were actively breaking the psychological chains of the orthodox hierarchy that the law alone couldn't shatter. It was the ultimate expression of the three words that drove his entire life: educate, agitate, organize. Ambedkar's legacy is a continuous, living revolution. It serves as a reminder that a functioning democracy depends on a collective state of mind, not merely the presence of a legal code.